The following is a paid advertisement of St. Anthony Hospital Orthopedics. References to any specific product, services, or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by St. Anthony Hospital, Carroll Broadcasting, or its advertisers. The views expressed by the host or guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Welcome to the St. Anthony Hospital Orthopedic Show with Dr. Richard Godding. Dr. Godding specializes in joint preservation, reconstruction, and replacement surgery, and brings over 25 years of orthopedic excellence to St. Anthony Hospital and to the Carroll area. For more information about Dr. Godding, his practice, or St. Anthony Orthopedics, go to santanthonyhospital.org or make an appointment by calling 712-794-5536.
Good Sunday morning, Iowa. It's Dr. Rick Godding. Thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of time with me here this morning. And so last week, I talked a little bit about how just a little bit my hands were starting to get a little sore with the guitar playing and the surgery and the weightlifting. So the one of those that I was, I'm not going to quit. There's three things that I should either reduce or quit, right? and guitar playing wasn't it. I did buy an electric guitar to practice with so it's a little easier on the hands. And then I started swimming and gave up the weightlifting. And just that quick, my hands feel great. It was just too much all at once. And I guess as I'm getting older, I had to adjust. But, I didn't want to wait and like, oh, they hurt. I mean, it's my hands. But again, I was talking about it, not so that you can know what's happening with my hands, but that so you can just model that. So as soon as I started having trouble, I noticed it for 2 or 3 weeks, and I said, I gotta get on this. And that's how when you are in the age group that I'm in, which is, I'll be 56 in a couple months here. And really though, even if you're in your 40s, 30s, you can get away with it. You can still ride it. Right. What I'm talking about is the time frame from when you feel like something is starting to bug you physically to the point that you make adjustments for it. That time frame should be very quick as you get older. In other words, if your knee is starting to hurt a little bit and you're doing a lot of stair steppers, let's say, well, you can try it for a couple, 3 weeks, take a little Motrin, see if it gets better. If it doesn't get better, the first thing you do is you adjust the thing that is causing the aggravation, right? So, we can talk about what's harsher on different types of the body, what kind of activities. But anyway, for me, I'm super happy. My hands feel great. And my whole body from the swimming, frankly, feels way better. I think you don't realize, I didn't realize, or just didn't maybe think about it as much. You're standing there in the gym and doing curls, right? Just biceps curls. Well, every time you curl, if you're doing dumbbells, so one weight in each hand, each time you lift one up, you're putting some uneven stress on your spine, right? So if you try to lift, you can feel, your body's trying to stay in that position, and all those are spine muscles, right? And although I would do a lot of sit-ups, I would do a lot of those dumbbell curls. And I guess you could get away with doing barbell curls instead. But it got me to really think about the ergonomics. So ergonomics is just kind of looking at body position in space and how it affects you over time. And the ergonomics of biceps dumbbell curls, it's going to put some stress on your spine. So I'm not doing those. Push-ups, we're putting a lot of stress on my hands. And so, I've now cut those out. I may do push-ups once every 2 or 3 weeks now instead of twice a week. I don't know. I haven't done it yet since I started this new regimen. But, also, the one thing that's good about swimming is, when I do my push-ups, I then do sort of a swim motion on the floor afterwards. I do about 50 of those so that you are tightening up your back muscles as well, strengthening them. Because you don't want to overload front or back. If you're doing something that's going to overload the front or back, your body's going to be a little out of kilter. So if you're doing, those of you who are lifting weights, if you're doing a lot of chest work, make sure you work your back too. And when I mean your back, I mean your lats and your traps. The weightlifters know where those are. make sure that it's even, right? Just like you wouldn't exercise just your biceps and no triceps, because those are the opposite muscle. You got to always, take care of that opposite muscle. So the swimming is good because it does, by what you're doing, you're bringing your arm up back behind your head out of the water. So that's exercising your back, and then you're putting it back in, and then you're pushing down, and that's getting your triceps and your lats. So that's giving you a pretty good balance. You don't see a lot of swimmers with big biceps. So if you want to work your biceps, you do need to do some other stuff. And I've found a machine at the gym, and I tried it, just did a couple quick sets just to kind of see what it felt like. And there is a machine at the gym that's a biceps machine that seems to be dramatically easier on the hands. Now, overall, what I was doing is I was doing pull-ups and chin-ups with a little bit of help from there's a machine that you can put on, and you say, help me 30 pounds or help me 50 pounds. It's just a machine. So I was doing those. But again, that's a lot of stress when you're hanging. It's a lot of stress on your hands. So I'm trying to reduce those things as I age here. And so there is a machine I found that seems to be pretty easy on the hands. But overall, I've swapped out 90% of my upper body workout to just swimming. And again, like I said, I wasn't really thinking exactly about the ergonomics of some of the things that you do in the gym. And my back feels better already. And it's been about 3 weeks now. And swimming's good. I guess if you have access to a pool, and most people do, go, even just walking around, and people do some aerobics in the pool and walking around. It allows you to get some of that exercise without really stressing your joints out. Especially, people who are obese and trying to kind of get into some sort of an exercise routine. Water's good. You can go do more with less stress on the joints. But overall, when you're going to take up a new exercise program, certainly as you get older, you want to start slow, right? Don't go out and try to kill yourself on the first time. And I would say the number one thing that I've seen in my practice is that people who are healthy, who are over 70 mostly, but 100% people over 80 that I find, and not 100%, let's just say, see, I still got a little bit of a sniffly, but I did use my earplugs this week, so I didn't get so much water in, so I'm still better than last week. I think my body's still getting a little used to having all that. Some of that water is going to go in your nose. There's no way around that. I don't wear a nose plug. I couldn't handle that. But I do wear the earplugs. Anyway, so the one exercise that I see almost every healthy 80-year-old I've ever had in my practice, going back to when I was practicing on Hawaii, when I just started, is walking. It doesn't have to be anything special, but people who walk are keeping their bodies moving, and people who don't walk aren't. And, there's gardening and things like that too. And, there's some very significant outliers of 80-year-olds who are riding bikes and things like that. But mostly, by that time, most people have slowed down a fair bit. My mom, who just moved up here from Oklahoma, she has a 2-story house, and her craft room was on the first floor, or basement, I guess, level. And she has about 12 stairs. And I have watched her, the way she moves. So she's been here about 4 months. I've watched the way she moves change significantly just by going up and down those stairs 10 times a day. Now, she is in no hurry to get up and down the stairs. She's 81. And she understands she doesn't carry things up and down the stairs, but she has to go downstairs if she wants to get to her craft room. And so watching her transform physically in that short period of time has been really interesting, because it tells me that now she had both of her knees replaced about 5-6 years ago. And they're both functioning very well, and she certainly would not be living the life she's living if she had not had her knees replaced. There would be no going up and down those stairs. But she did it long enough ago that she's maintained, she was doing some walking. Not enough, not daily. Once a week, I would harass her into walking, and she would walk. I don't think she enjoyed it. The stairs are just there, so she has to deal with them. She either is not going down to her craft room, or she is. And if she is, which she is, she's got to go up and down the stairs. So she's figuring 10, 12 times up and down those stairs a day. It's just fantastic exercise. And I literally have seen the change in how she's moving when she's not going up and down the stairs. She is much more steady on her feet. And so you could do stairs as exercise in your house if you're capable of doing stairs safely and you're doing it a couple times a day. If you don't want to go out and walk, you could just walk some extra, and especially in the winter. Like if you have a house that has a staircase and you're going up and down, let's say you're going up and down a couple times a day. Well, could you make it 3 for a week or 2? And then could you make it 4? And yes, at some point you're walking up and down the stairs just to walk up and down the stairs. That's what exercise is. Exercise is doing things that aren't necessarily okay. You can get exercise doing things that are productive, but exercise in and of itself, if you say, like, I'm going to go to the gym, what am I going to do at the gym? I'm going to go exert a bunch of energy doing something that doesn't produce any result other than I've burned energy. It's crazy that that we do that. But it is what it is because I don't get enough exercise at my job. And so, I think a lot of people don't. And those who do, if you're getting a lot of exercise at your job, you could find actually that from an ergonomic perspective, again, the way you're holding your body. I see a lot of construction workers who have challenges physically. And even I, at my job. So the worst things I do at my job, in the clinic, I'll go in, I'll sit down, I'll look at the chart on the computer, I'll stand up, I'll go see the patient, examine the patient, and I'll come back and sit down and dictate a note into the computer. So I spend, let's say, in the clinic, half of my day is sitting at my desk and half of my day is either walking to or being in the room with someone. Well, at the sitting in the desk part, I'm a sloucher. I have to admit, I do not sit there with perfect posture while I'm typing and doing my work. And I'm guessing most people fall in that camp. I always am finding myself pulling my shoulders back, trying to feel better by doing that, stretching my neck backwards. Same thing in the operating room. Despite the fact that I consciously think about it all the time, I find myself with my shoulders hunched over and my neck hunched over, looking down at the surgical field. And, part of that you're just going to have to, but I always make sure several times a day I stretch it back. But that's why the swimming or whatever you can do to increase the back and neck muscles. There are ways to do it. You can get a couple of bands and hook it to a doorknob and pull backwards to where your fists are coming back to kind of where your ears are. That's going to work your back, your lats, and your traps. These muscles on your back that are kind of pulling the shoulders from the back side. But I think it is really important to recognize that, it's Newton's laws. Body at motion stays at motion, body at rest stays at rest. And so as you get older, it becomes more, not less important. And sitting around and watching TV, no matter what you're watching, has been shown to be super detrimental, both mentally and physically. So get up, walk around, read a book, and you will live a happier and mentally better life, including staring at screens, whatever you're doing with your screen, whether it's just your phone. Oftentimes it's not mentally very stimulating. And if you're just watching movies and staring at your phone and watching, stupid pet tricks or whatever, it's not good if you're trying to prevent dementia. It's one of those things that you're exercising your mind to help kind of try to treat dementia. So, or prevent, I should say. Now, Alzheimer's is its own thing, but still, nevertheless, the stronger your mind is, the better it's going to be, just like the stronger your body is. I mean, if you go into a disease diagnosis with a stronger body, you are going to heal it better. And that's everything from a knee replacement to a kidney transplant. You're just going to heal that better if your body is better. It's the same thing with your mind. And as we age, our minds are slowing down like anything else. And the best way to do that, to help slow down the slowing down, is to exercise your mind. And, crossword puzzles are good. Reading is fantastic. Playing a musical instrument, things like that. So I'm just trying to give you, an overall, as I go through this sort of journey of aging myself. 56, I it's funny because I'll talk to patients in my office who are maybe 76. Oh, 56, that's so young. And it's so funny because I talk to someone who's 36, like, oh, 36 is so young. And everybody that's 20 years old, younger than you, sounds really young. But there's definitely things that just are much more in the front and center as you get old. And if you pay attention to them and you adjust quickly, you can hopefully prevent some problems. I mean, walking now, women can start walking to build bone mass until about their 30s, and then it starts to decline forever, and it never stops declining. But you can make it decline slower by walking and lifting some weights. It's really the only thing that we really know. I mean, you get your vitamin D and you get your calcium and stuff like that, but walking and lifting weights is very, very important for that. So I just want people to understand that motion is everything as far as your body is concerned. If you're in a physical capacity that you're not able to do something else. If you're in a wheelchair, lift some weights with your arms. Doesn't have to be heavy. Just get some weightlifting. It's going to help build some muscle mass. It's going to help your metabolism. It's going to help all of those things. It's going to help your heart. And so it's starting to get warmer. It looks like, we might just skip the end of winter and go straight to spring. I'm not sure. But, it's starting to be time to go outside and walk. And again, as long as you can do this safely, I highly, highly encourage it for anybody. Even if you're using a walker, if you can safely walk outside, preferably on pavement, get out and walk. Get the sun on your face, get, the sun in your eyes, not staring at the sun, but, just getting that sunlight in your eyes. It's good for your mental health. And yeah, if you can swim, or even just get in the water, it's helpful. But if you can swim, I can tell you, I just feel so fantastic now. So much, my body just feels better. There's just less pain. And when I'm walking around, my back already, I don't have back pain, but after a certain point, you have back pains. you never don't have at least a little pain once in a while in your back, at least for me, since I was, 40, 45. And it's not bad, but I've noticed that now that I've stopped the push-ups and the weightlifting and transferred over to the swimming, my pain in my back is much less frequent and much less significant. Although it was never bad, it's just like, oh, well, I don't have that little sharp little thing that I used to have to stretch out of. Now we'll see. I mean, it could be that I run into something else after swimming, and I will let you know. And if I do, and maybe at some point I have to go back to doing some weightlifting for a while, but don't be afraid to adjust what you're doing. And I guess that's the key, is keeping your health front and center as we come into the spring and it's time to get out and get in the garden, do some planting, walking around, and just remember that each year that goes by, it's going to be harder to regain anything that you lose. So try to not lose any of your physical conditioning. And a little bit of light weights and some walking will go a long, long way, especially if you take, care of your diet, which is a whole different show. But what you're not. You're not supposed to drink sugary beverages and eat a bunch of, crazy sugar and all that stuff. I mean, the easy stuff to avoid is the stuff that there's no question at all, it's bad for you. And we all know what those are. So anyway, just a little update and a little bit of encouragement to get out there this early spring, late winter, and going forward into the summer and into the fall, and get out and get some motion and keep yourself healthy. And with that, you have a blessed week, Iowa.
This has been the St. Anthony Hospital Orthopedic Show with Dr. Richard Godding. For more information about Dr. Godding, his practice, or St. Anthony Hospital Orthopedics, go to www.santanthonyhospital.org or make an appointment by calling 712-794-5536.